This week, some good news in a roundabout sort of way. From ABC News, trans care restrictions force some families to travel hours and spend hundreds for treatment. This is an article by Chiara Alfonseca, and it's the article version, the article tie-in to a Nightline story from a few days ago. And let's just read a little bit of it. It begins, Misty Stam was working tirelessly to figure out the details, waking up early, the hours-long drives, booking hotels, and finding doctors who could legally administer gender-affirming hormone therapy to her 16-year-old transgender daughter. Stam is living in one of the 24 states where legislation is restricting gender-affirming health care for transgender youth. So, she and parents like her must make long, expensive trips out of their home states to find the care their children need, according to a new report from the Campaign for Southern Equality Research and Policy Center. Stam, who lives in Tennessee, drove 5 hours to get her daughter to a gender clinic in Ohio when her family first started considering care options. With new gender-affirming care restrictions set to go into effect soon in Ohio, Stam and her daughter have since turned to a telehealth provider in Virginia. However, they still have to drive 2 hours to Virginia for the online appointment as to not break Tennessee law, which also bans telehealth providers from providing care and treatments like puberty blockers and hormone therapies to a minor located in the state. Stam told ABC News that the time, effort, and money they're spending to access care is worth it. When she came out as transgender at 13, the mental health issue stopped completely, Stam said. That affirmed to us that this was the right thing. Stam's daughter had been in counseling and therapy since she was in 5th grade, struggling with her mental health and experiencing depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. At age 14, Stam's daughter received puberty blockers to temporarily pause the development of physical sex characteristics. As her daughter grew older, the family and physicians together decided to move forward with hormone therapy. Throughout this progress, they said, psychologists and therapists were consulted and were required for approvals. Stam said her daughter has since been released by her therapist and is only seen occasionally as required. She's just doing so well, and if we didn't have access, we have to have it. She has to have it. Gas, airfare, lodging, and other expenses to cross state lines and access gender-affirming care could cost hundreds to thousands of dollars, the Southern Equality Report states. Stam says she and her husband have spent likely thousands of dollars in travel and costs to get care and are anxiously awaiting the day their daughter turns 18 so that she can access care more freely. The article goes on, and it's, in a way, kind of nice to see, because we have a major news outlet actually talking to a family of a trans person, actually telling the story of one of these trans kids who are so deeply affected by these unfair, harmful, and illegal bans. It shows the struggles of real families who have to put up with these political games put on by showboating legislatures and governors and all these asshats who care more about riling up their base to get donations and votes than about the people they're supposed to represent and the kids they keep saying they want to protect. What about the families who aren't like Stam and her daughter, who can cross state lines? What about the families who are just out of luck? What about the children who have no alternative, no means to access life-saving medical care? What about them? This story is just one of thousands like it, of kids who either have to travel to get care at great expense or simply can't access care. But one thing is really clear. These laws that prevent kids from accessing necessary medical care aren't causing people to not be trans. It's only hurting the people who are trans. And it's really nice to see a major news organization not only talking to actual trans people and their families for a change, but showing that side of it, showing the real harm that these stupid and dangerous ideologically motivated laws are causing to real people. It needs to stop. But at least, ABC News has gone out and shown what's really happening and the real results of these idiotic and illegal bans. So kudos to ABC And I sincerely hope we see more of this, because exposing stories like this one that show trans people don't stop being trans, you're just depriving them of health care. This is how we get the average, neutral, middle-of-the-road, small-town American on board with the true impact of what's going on here, and get them to hold these politicians accountable for what they're doing, for the harm they're causing to children, for political gain. They're demonizing a whole group of Americans and hurting them for nothing more than money and power. It's shameful, and they should be shamed for it, because it's the only way we can get them to stop. So not only is this a kudos for ABC News, it's a first step in the right direction by the mainstream, and we love to see it. While England is dropping roadblocks when it comes to trans rights, Sweden is paving a highway. From the Aftonbladet, on April 17th, the Swedish legislature voted 234 to 94 to pass a new gender identity law. Under these rules, a healthcare contract is considered sufficient to apply for a legal gender change, removing the requirement of a gender dysphoria diagnosis. The law also lowers the age limit for legal transition, not medical transition, to 16 with the approval of a guardian. On the surgical side, a large hurdle was removed. Previously, candidates for surgery needed approval from the National Board of Health. That is no longer required. Whether surgery is necessary or even helpful is properly a matter between patient and physician. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a wait before the new rules go into effect. They are slated for a July 1st, 2025 rollout. But, unlike some parts of Europe, at least Sweden is trying to look after the health and well-being of its citizens. And literally, as I was editing, one more piece of good news from Aaron Reed. The Iowa state legislature has adjourned without passing a single piece of anti-LGBTQ legislation. They had 20 bills on the floor that were introduced this session. All of them dead. All dead, all done. And it's not for lack of trying, because the Republicans were doing their level best to cram anti-trans legislation onto things like veterans' health care bills. They were sticking them in everywhere they can to try to get something passed this session. Nope, not a single one. So they get to join states including Florida, Georgia, and West Virginia, who have either deliberately killed all their anti-trans bills or failed to pass a single new anti-LGBT bill this year. Hell yeah! For Transpositions, I've been Ember Belrad.